When did you last actually stop and ask yourself, honestly, whether your career is on the right side of what's happening right now? Not the LinkedIn version of that question. The version you sit with at 11 p.m. when your job application tracker has 150 rows and maybe 8 responses. Because you did everything right. You learned the tools. You built the portfolio. You followed the roadmap that everyone said was the roadmap. And somehow the market still feels like it's moving sideways while you're standing still. That gap between what you were told to prepare for and what you're actually walking into is what this video is about. The AI and data science job market in 2026 has split into 2 completely different labor markets that just happen to share a job title. One is booming, one is contracting. And the reason most people can't figure out which one they're in is because the skills that put you in the contracting market and the skills that put you in the booming market look almost identical on a CV, but function completely differently in practice. That's the thesis. Everything else in this video is evidence for it. Meet James, 25 years old, data science graduate, spent a solid year building Python, SQL, machine learning fundamentals, the works. Built a GitHub portfolio he's genuinely proud of. Applied to over 150 positions. Got a handful of callbacks. Moved forward with 2. Didn't land either. Here's the thing about James that matters. He didn't fail to prepare. He prepared exactly the way the market told him to. The boot camp was well reviewed. The projects were real. The problem is the advice James followed was written for 2021. And between 2021 and 2026, quietly, without much fanfare, the market moved. The credential that used to differentiate you is now table stakes. Everyone's got Python on their resume. Everyone did the same 3 Kaggle projects. Everyone completed the same Coursera specializations. Hiring managers are drowning in CVs that look identical. James is not unusual. He is the dominant experience at the entry level right now. But here's where it gets complicated. And this is the part most coverage skips past. The same market frustrating James is simultaneously running a talent shortage so severe that healthcare, finance, and supply chain companies have been hunting senior ML engineers and AI infrastructure specialists for 2 years and still can't close the searches. According to Levels.fyi's verified compensation data, entry-level data scientists earn a total of $96,000 to $165,000. Senior ML engineers at top companies see median total compensation of $261,500, well north of $200,000, and MLOps specialists command 20 to 35% more than generalist ML engineers. Same field, same job title on the surface. Completely different financial reality depending on which side of the split you're on. Hosseini Masum and Lichtinger, Generative AI as Seniority-Biased Technological Change. Evidence from U.S. Resume and job posting data, published on SSRN, August 31st, 2025, tracked 62 million workers across 285,000 firms from 2015 to 2025 and found something specific. As companies adopted generative AI, senior hiring went up and junior hiring went down. Same companies, same period, 2 directions, opposite rungs of the same ladder. If you're James, that distinction is everything. Now, 2 weeks ago something happened that made the abstract debate very concrete. And I want to start here before we get to the CEOs, because this is the event the CEO quotes are actually describing. Block, the company behind Square, Cash App, and Afterpay, cut its staff by 40%. Over 4,000 people gone. CNN, February 26, 2026. The reason, in Jack Dorsey's own words from his letter to shareholders, the core thesis is simple. Intelligence tools have changed what it means to build and run a company. Fortune, February 27, 2026. A significantly smaller team, using the tools we're building, can do more and do it better. Not a struggling business. Not a bad quarter. Block's gross profit jumped 24% from a year earlier. Block Q4 2024 earnings release. Block stock jumped roughly 25% following the announcement. Newsweek, February 26, 2026. I think most companies are late. Within the next year, I believe the majority of companies will reach the same conclusion and make similar structural changes. I'd rather get there honestly and on our own terms than be forced into it reactively. Dorsey, X, February 26, 2026. Now, not everyone's buying it. And the pushback is worth hearing. Whoop CEO Will Ahmed went straight to X. Investing in talent and AI tools are not mutually exclusive. Many of these AI layoffs are just companies underperforming or lacking a bigger market opportunity. And an Oxford economics report released in January 2026 found that many layoff CEOs called AI-related were actually the result of past overhiring, a pattern the report flagged as likely to be a significant feature of 2026. A former Block employee told the New York Times that looking closely at the specific cuts, shrinking the policy team, eliminating DI roles, the layoffs read more like standard cost management than an AI-driven reinvention. Fair. All of it fair. But here's the thing. Even if Dorsey is partly using AI as cover for what is partly a cost-cutting exercise, the market rewarded it. The stock jumped 25%. And when the market rewards that framing, other CEOs notice. Fast. James is not applying to Block. But the CFO deck justifying that 40% cut is being circulated in board meetings at every mid-sized tech company he is applying to right now. Block is not an isolated event. The CEOs building these systems have been saying this was coming. Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO, from his blog post Reflections, January 6, 2025, "We believe that, in 2025, we may see the first AI agents join the workforce and materially change the output of companies." Blog.samaltman.com. He was right. The deployment is real and it's accelerating into 2026 faster than most people expected. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA CEO, Milken Institute Conference, May 2025. "You're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose it to someone who uses AI." That got quoted everywhere. It's half right. The half that needs a footnote. In entry-level data and software work specifically, the hiring data shows it's not just that someone using AI better took the role. The role itself is getting posted less. The floor is contracting. Sundar Pichai, Google CEO, early 2026. "AI will undeniably reshape the workforce, automating some roles, evolving others, and creating entirely new careers." Notice what he's not saying. Not that all roles survive. Not that entry level is fine. He's describing a split, some automated, some evolved, some new. That split is now visible in the actual hiring numbers. Dorsey said most companies are late. Late by his definition means companies that haven't yet made the structural change Block just made. James is job hunting in the window between late and catching up. So last month something broke open in this conversation that hadn't broken open before. Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, the company that literally built Claude, published a 20,000-word essay on his personal blog titled The Adolescence of Technology on January 26, 2026. DarioAmodei.com. And he said it straight. 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs could be disrupted within the next 1 to 5 years. Not eventually. Not theoretically. 1 to 5 years. And this is the man literally building the technology he's warning you about. He told CNN, "The pace of progress in AI is much faster than for previous technological revolutions. It is hard for people to adapt to this pace of change, both to the changes in how a given job works and in the need to switch to new jobs." CNN interview, January 2026. His specific concern, not just that jobs disappear, but how. CEOs will quietly stop hiring, then replace humans with AI the moment it becomes viable. No big announcement. No transition plan. Just, the backfilling stops, the new headcount freezes, and one day you look up and the floor of the career ladder isn't there anymore. That's already what happened in software engineering. A single engineer now able to do the work of several, breaking the bottom rung. Amodei's point is that data science, finance, law, consulting, they're next. Same pattern, same trajectory, just slightly behind. Amodei's 1 to 5 year window is James's entire early career window. He doesn't have the luxury of watching this from a distance. Now, not everyone bought it. And the pushback is worth hearing because it's not stupid. Mark Cuban on Blue Sky. At one point there were more than 2 million secretaries, the original white-collar displacement. New companies with new jobs came from that. They'll come from AI too. His whole argument is this is what always happens. Steam engine, electricity, internet. Panic, adapt, thrive. The 15-year rebound is real. It just doesn't help you if your rent is due in the next 2 years. And Fortune pointed out something worth clocking. Amadei has a product to sell. The warning and the pitch for Anthropic are kind of the same move. Fair. Clock the incentive. But here's what you can't discount. According to Challenger, Gray and Christmas, the firm that has tracked U.S. layoffs since 1989, AI was cited as a reason for nearly 55,000 layoffs in the U.S. in 2025. The MIT and Oak Ridge National Laboratory study, Measuring Skills-Centered Exposure in the AI Economy, released November 26, 2025, found AI can already do the job of 11.7% of the U.S. labor market, saving up to $1.2 trillion in wages across finance, healthcare, and professional services. And Mercer's Global Talent Trends 2026 report, which surveyed 12,000 people worldwide, found 40% of employees feared losing their jobs to AI, up from 28% in 2024. That's not a forecast. That's what already happened last year. James's CV doesn't tell a hiring manager which side of the 40% automation curve he belongs to. That ambiguity is part of why the callbacks aren't coming. That macro picture lands differently depending on which side of the split you're on. Here is what each side actually looks like right now. And I'm going to be specific about who each one applies to, because that's the part that always gets glossed over. If you're on the right side of the split, senior, deployed, building real systems, the pros right now are genuinely strong. The talent shortage at that level means you have leverage most professionals haven't had in years. Companies are paying premiums they were offering to nobody in 2022. The demand is real, and the supply isn't catching up fast enough to normalize salaries anytime soon. Jensen Huang's framing holds here. You're not losing your job to AI. You're gaining a multiplier that makes you worth 3 people to the right employer. That's a real pro. It's just conditional. If you're on the wrong side of the split, entry-level, generalist skills, identical CV to 500 other applicants, the cons are just as specific. Young workers aged 20 to 30 have seen unemployment rise in recent months, notably higher than older workers in the same fields. Zuckerberg said in January 2025 that Meta would have AI that can effectively be a sort of mid-level engineer by the end of the year. With a single software engineer now able to do the work of several using agentic assistants, tech companies have been laying off junior engineers or not hiring new ones, breaking the bottom rung of the career ladder. That's James's situation in one sentence. The bottom rung didn't disappear. It got kicked out. And nobody updated the bootcamp curriculum to reflect that. Amadei put it as plainly as anyone has. You can't step in front of the train and stop it. The only move that works is steering it 10 degrees in a different direction from where it was going. That can be done, but you have to do it now. 10 degrees. Not a career reinvention. Not starting over. Just a specific, deliberate repositioning toward where the demand actually lives. And before we get into what that repositioning looks like, here are the 2 questions that tell you which market you're currently building toward. First, are your projects deployed anywhere real, or do they live in notebooks and Kaggle competitions? Second, can you explain what specific business decision your most recent project supported, and what happened in the business because of it? If the answer to the first question is notebooks, and the answer to the second is it was a practice exercise, you are building toward the contracting market. Regardless of your technical skill level, regardless of how clean your code is, regardless of how many courses you've completed. Those 2 questions are the actual interview the market is running on every candidate right now. Most people, including James 4 months ago, don't know that's the test. So here's the thing about James's GitHub that nobody actually told him. A hiring manager at a mid-sized fintech, someone who reviews data science portfolios for a living, said something that explains James's situation better than any market report does. Being model smart is good, but being decision safe is what gets you hired. Model smart, decision safe, 2 completely different things. And James, like most bootcamp grads right now, optimized hard for one of them and barely touched the other. Model smart is knowing your algorithms, knowing when to use a random forest versus a gradient boost, being able to explain how your neural network works. That stuff is real and it matters. But here's what's happened to it in 2026. Python and SQL are the foundation. Statistics separates data scientists from code copiers. Machine learning is the core craft. It's not a differentiator anymore. It's the price of entry. Everyone who made it past the first filter has it. So in the interview room, when everyone at the table is model smart, the person who gets the offer is the one who can walk in and make the hiring manager feel confident that their analysis won't blow up a business decision. That's decision safe. And it's a skill James hasn't practiced because nobody told him it was the test. Now here's the actual split in the market. Specific numbers, not vague generalizations. On the booming side, MLOps engineers are the most undersupplied role in the entire data market right now. According to Levels.fy's verified compensation data, senior ML engineers at top companies see median total compensation of $261,500, and MLOps specialists command 20 to 35% more than generalist ML engineers doing equivalent work. Time to fill for these roles is running 4 to 6 months because the talent pool genuinely cannot keep up with demand. Why? Because everyone can build ML models today, but very few professionals can deploy them, monitor them, and keep them running reliably in production. The gap between building a model in a notebook and shipping a system that handles millions of predictions daily without breaking, that gap is where the money lives. And it's a gap that most data science curricula still aren't bridging. On the contracting side, entry-level, generalist skills, identical CVs. Showing up as a generic data scientist in 2026 is like showing up as a generic developer in 2015. Technically valid, increasingly invisible. Here's where James's specific problem lives. Notebooks are not enough anymore. Notebooks are good for exploration, but if you need to deploy your model in production, you need other tools. Docker, MLflow, FastAPI, LangChain if you're going the LLM route. These aren't advanced topics reserved for seniors. They're the baseline expectation now for anyone who wants to be taken seriously in a technical interview. James probably doesn't have them. Not because he's behind, but because his bootcamp was built in an era when notebooks were fine. And then there's the SQL thing. SQL is still the highest signal skill for most data roles. If your SQL is weak, your analysis and models inherit silent errors. Not beginner SQL. The kind that handles window functions, CTEs, complex joins, performance optimization. The kind a senior analyst writes at 9 a.m. on a Monday without Googling anything. And the portfolio problem. If you are more MLOps oriented, the recruiter will look at how you deployed, monitored, and tracked your model in production. If you are more product oriented, they want to see your slides and how you interpret your ML results. The portfolio needs to match the lane. James's portfolio right now doesn't have a lane. It's a collection of projects that say, I learned the tools rather than, I solved this specific type of problem for this specific type of business. So what actually works in 2026? A simple model that drives $1 million in incremental revenue beats a sophisticated ensemble that never gets deployed. Stop optimizing for technical impressiveness. Start optimizing for business legibility. The question every project in his portfolio should answer is, what decision did this support and what happened because of it? A candidate with strong Python skills, statistical intuition, 3 deployed ML projects, and competition results can absolutely get hired without a graduate degree. 3 deployed projects, not 5 Kaggle notebooks. Deployed, somewhere real, on a free tier cloud account, with an endpoint someone could actually hit. And the niche job board thing. Broad sites like LinkedIn and Indeed are oversaturated with applicants. The companies where entry-level candidates are actually landing in 2026 are mid-sized companies in the middle of a digital transformation, healthcare analytics, supply chain optimization, fintech startups. Not the same 50 companies every bootcamp grad targets. James isn't losing because he doesn't know enough. He's losing because he's playing the wrong version of the game. So here's where James actually is right now. For months in, 150 applications, a GitHub full of projects nobody asked for, and advice in his head that was accurate in 2021 and hasn't been updated since. Here's the honest thing. James's problem isn't a motivation problem. It's not a work ethic problem. It's not even really a skills problem in the traditional sense. It's a positioning problem. He built his skills for the contracting market. The one everyone told him was the destination. The one that turned out to be the floor that got kicked out. The era of the paid learning curve, where employers subsidize the education of juniors by paying them to do rote work, is over. When an AI can generate a SQL query, debug a code block, or summarize a dataset instantly at near zero cost, The economic rationale for paying a junior to do the same work collapses. Not because the junior isn't capable, because the math stopped working. Sam Altman said something on Cleo Abrams' Huge If True podcast in August 2025 that I've been sitting with since he said it. Someone asked him how he'd feel if he were 22 and graduating right now, in a market where AI is eating entry-level work. He said, "If I were 22 right now and graduating college, I would feel like the luckiest kid in all of history. Because there has never been a more amazing time to go create something totally new, to go invent something, to start a company, whatever it is." If you are James, if you are at 150 applications and 0 offers and a billionaire CEO just told you that you are the luckiest kid in all of history, the correct initial response is to want to close this tab. And look, I get it. Coming from someone building the technology that's reshaping the market you're trying to break into, that quote lands badly. But there's something real underneath it if you actually sit with it. Altman said some classes of jobs will totally go away, but then said young people are the best at adapting. I'm more worried about what it means, not for the 22-year-old, but for the 62-year-old that doesn't want to go retrain or reskill. Cleo Abram, Huge If True, August 2025. The people struggling hardest right now aren't fresh starters. They're mid-career professionals whose expertise was built around workflows that got restructured in 18 months. James has no sunk cost. He just needs to aim at the right target. Here's what the right target actually looks like in 2026. A new model is forming. The rise of AI apprenticeships and superagency, where juniors use AI to bypass the skills gap and perform at mid-level capacity. That's the emerging pathway replacing the bottom rung that got kicked out. Not applying to 150 companies with the same CV. Getting into one company, even as a contract, even at a lower title than you wanted, and immediately demonstrating that you can punch above your level because you actually know how to use these tools in production, not just in a notebook. Over half of data science jobs in 2025 offered six-figure salaries, with about a third paying between $160,000 and $200,000 annually. And 2026 is seeing even more competitive compensation as employers compete for the talent that can actually deliver. That market is real. The path from where James is to where that market lives is not a decade of grinding. It's a specific repositioning, production over prototype, deployment over demonstration, business impact over technical impressiveness. There are currently 6 to 8 million unfilled AI roles globally. Demand is roughly 10 times higher than supply. 10 times. That's not a talent shortage. That's a structural mismatch between where candidates are positioning themselves and where the roles actually live. The candidates chasing the same 50 companies with the same bootcamp CV are competing for the sliver of roles at the bottom of a contracting market. The WEF's Future of Jobs Report 2025 puts a number on the skills side of this. 39% of workers' existing skill sets will be transformed or become outdated by 2030. Nearly 4 in 10 workers. The people hardest hit by that figure are not the ones who haven't yet started building. They're the ones who built for 2021 and haven't updated the map. James can solve that mismatch. He just hasn't aimed at it yet. And then there's Altman's blog from earlier this year. The most honest single sentence about where all of this is heading. From blog.smaltman.com. 2025 has seen the arrival of agents that can do real cognitive work. 2026 will likely see the arrival of systems that can figure out novel insights. Novel insights. Not just generating code. Not just summarizing reports. Surfacing genuinely new understanding from data that humans couldn't have found on their own. When that arrives, the humans who remain most valuable are the ones who can direct that process, validate what comes out of it, translate the findings into something a real organization can act on, and take accountability for what happens next. That's not a Python skill. That's not an MLOps certification. That's judgment, built on top of technical foundations, but not reducible to them. James has those capabilities. He just hasn't learned to lead with them yet. James's 150 applications are not evidence that he isn't good enough. They are evidence that he aimed at the contracting market with the skills the contracting market no longer needs at entry level. The repositioning he needs is not a career change. It's 3 deployed projects instead of 5 Kaggle notebooks. It's MLOps fundamentals instead of a 6th machine learning course. It's a mid-size healthcare analytics company in the middle of a digital transformation instead of the 50th application to the same 50 names every bootcamp grad is targeting. That repositioning, specific, executable, already mapped out in this video, is the difference between James in 6 months and James right now. He knows which questions to ask. He just needed the right map. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Not a summary, not a call to action. Just the one question worth actually sitting with after this video ends. If the split in this market is real, if there genuinely are two labor markets sharing one job title, one booming and one contracting, then the most important question isn't, how do I get a job in data science? It's this, which version of this market am I actually building toward? Because the answer to that question determines whether the next 6 months of effort lands you inside the shortage or keeps you competing in the crowd. And most people, including James 4 months ago, haven't asked it clearly enough yet. That's the reality of AI and data science jobs in 2026. Not the headline, not the panic, just the actual shape of what's happening, and the one question that changes how you move through it. If this is the kind of honest breakdown you've been looking for, day after tomorrow. Primary sources, real numbers, no filler. Subscribe. See you in the next one.